So I made a comment on a post earlier today about the whole Kyle Rittenhouse and gun bullshit because he's trying to claim defamation due to the whole Johnny Depp thing. And anyways, the conversation went from I got from this guy who responded was basically saying that according to the Department of Justice, the assault rifle ban did nothing. Now, those of you that know me, I am 33. I grew up in the time when the assault rifle ban was still in effect and after it was lifted. I decided to do a little research because he kept on telling me I'm going to trust the Department of Justice over somebody having an emotional response. I'm not having an emotional response. I don't care if somebody owns a gun or not. I do care whether or not that person is sane and capable of being a responsible gun owner. Now, in my little bit of research that I did, such as Googling the number of mass shootings before, during, and after the assault rifle ban, before the few years before the assault rifle ban, there were 8 mass shootings, resulting in, I think, just about 80 deaths. I know it's an odd thing to say 80. When the assault rifle ban was in effect, there were 6, resulting in 49. That's 2 less, and about, you know, almost half the number of reported deaths. Well, once the ban was lifted, that span of time afterwards of, I think it was 1994, so we'll go 95 to 2013. That 6 jumped to 22. That 22 resulted in quite a few more deaths. I believe it was somewhere in the triple digits. And then from 2014 to 2019, which is when the chart that I found ended, there was another 15. And it was, again, in the hundreds. The projection that they had for upcoming ones, though, because there was the 2019 cutoff going towards 2024, they projected another 15. I did a little bit more searching to try to find what the main number is now for mass shooters that have happened since the gun ban. Even minusing the 37 that we already knew from 2000 from 1995 till 2019, we're sitting at just around roughly 600. It's a little under 600, but you get my point here. The only thing that was changed since 1994 is that the assault rifle ban was removed, and gun laws have become, quite frankly, a lot easier for gun owners to get a gun nowadays in a lot of states because it's not regulated. It's a state issue because nobody wants the federal government, because that's what the Second Amendment is to help protect from. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you serious? I watched a video the other day of a cop and former soldier. He was crying. And he literally said that he was willing to sacrifice as many kids as he needed in order to protect the rights that he fought so hard for. Imagine being in a situation where your life is on the line and you have to rely on a man who is crying about a gun being more important than a fucking kid. I don't even like kids, but goddamn, even I'm not that cold. Now, I'm not saying ban all guns, Because that's what a lot of people jump to. Is, you're just saying ban all guns. You don't know what you're talking about. No, but I know what it's like to have a gun pointed at my face from somebody that shouldn't have a gun. Back when I was homeless and I was selling drugs in order to get by, I remember having a gun pointed at me while doing the drug deal and having all of my shit stolen. I remember beating somebody at Call of Duty and he went downstairs and grabbed a shotgun and pointed it at my face, loading a shell into it, and pulled the trigger. Now it was just a primer round, but still, the simple fact is that is not something, and that is not somebody that should own a gun. Now, this argument with this gentleman got to the point where he's like, well, unless you're going to give names and addresses and contact information, I'm not going to. Like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm not going to dox somebody in order to prove a point. First of all, that's illegal. Second of all, how stupid do you have to be in order to tell somebody that you're not going to believe them? Fine. Don't believe me. I don't give a shit. But the fact is that he's trying to claim that the Department of Justice claims that nothing changed, and it wouldn't have made any difference. So, what I think is funny is that he's believing the federal government, not the federal government, but technically the government, over statistics and basic math. Basic facts that you can look up. The Department of Justice can go ahead and say whatever the hell they want. The federal government can say whatever the hell they want. It doesn't matter. The simple fact is that facts are facts. And the fact is that since the ban, it has literally increased the amount of mass shootings by 100%. 100 times, sorry. And if you ask me, that seems a bit like a bit of an increase, especially given that the estimated amount between 2019 to 2024 was only supposed to be 15 mass shootings at that time. That you could say they hit the number. They hit that 15 estimate, and then they passed it. The only difference between us and other countries, because I know people are going to bring up the other countries thing, we have so many more guns than any other country. And every other country has a significant amount of gun laws and restrictions. So not everybody in those countries can own a gun because they aren't qualified to own a gun. Here, if you're 18 in some states, in some states you don't even have to have a license to buy a fucking gun. Some states you can just walk into a gun store, buy the gun, and walk the hell out with as simple as just a background check. Which, in a lot of these cases, people are living in these states, buy the guns there, and then go to another state to do their shootings because it's easier. I forgot which one it was. I think it was one of the ones this week where I think it was the one in Buffalo. I'm not sure if it was the one in Buffalo or it could have been the one in Texas for all I know. But the only thing that kept him from committing the shooting earlier was the fact that he had to wait till he was 18. Let that sink in. I remember back when I was a kid going to school, learning, and coming home. My nephew just started school. I don't know if I'm ever going to get that phone call. I grew up in Buffalo. Not in Buffalo, but I grew up around Buffalo. And the fact that it happened so close. My only family lives just an hour away from there. I mean, it's just a matter of time at this point. And I am terrified that I'm going to get a phone call saying that there's a school shooting at my nephew's school. That's not a feeling of comfort. And these lawmakers saying, oh, well, it's because of abortion, or it's because of mental health, or because of this or that or the other. No, it's because these people have access to guns. And proper regulations are not being followed. That's what the problem is. It's not because there's more doors than there needs to be. It's not because there's not armed guards. There shouldn't have to be armed guards at a fucking school, man. And even if there were armed guards, if the shooter's going to shoot, he'll just plan accordingly. 2 guards, 2 bullets. It's that simple. It's basic fucking math, man. Now, I understand I'm probably going to get flack for this whole thing. I get it. I really do. But you know what? I don't care. Y'all got to understand that this is not a time where we're using muskets here. You know, when the Second Amendment was written, there's no reason to own a 50 BMG. There's no reason to own something that is so strong that it goes through armored plate. There's no reason for somebody to be able to buy a Gatling gun. I mean, as fun as they are, I seriously doubt you're going squirrel hunting with it. And by the way, I have seen the aftermath of a 50 BMG used to kill a squirrel. Okay, there's no squirrel. It is just mist. So, you know, if that's going to be your, go-to excuse of hunting, look up videos of somebody shooting a deer, a big game animal with a fucking 50 caliber gun. Yeah, there's not much of an animal left. There's a reason they're called anti-tank and anti-vehicle rounds, anti-vehicle guns. You're not supposed to use them on soft targets. Soft targets being human. There's no reason for that. There's no reason for somebody to have something that can have a drum clip attached to it. There's no reason for it. How shit of a shot are you that you need 50 rounds or 100 rounds? If you can't kill what you're aiming at with 5 shots or less, then you don't need the gun. You need fucking glasses. It's that simple, man. The reason why they want limited magazine capacity isn't to make it more difficult for somebody to get a gun. They're trying to make it more difficult for somebody that's going to use that gun for mass shootings. If you can only shoot 5 shots before reloading, that still gives you a couple of seconds. That couple of seconds could be the meaning of life or death. But if you got somebody that's got a drum mag with 100 rounds in it, or 50 rounds, or however many rounds it holds, that's that much more firepower getting launched in your direction. That's that many more bullets flying around that could kill some kid or kill a bystander. It's just basic at this point, and yet these people are claiming that it's not going to make any difference. It's not going to make any. It'll make some. Yeah, the assault rifle ban didn't end all of those, but it stopped 2. It stopped 2. You're looking at the negative portion of it. Look at the positive. The positive is that those two shootings were made impossible because somebody didn't have access to a weapon to use for it, or because the stricter gun laws at that time. Like I said, in some states you can literally just buy a gun from a vendor in a loop because of a loophole. Some of these guns aren't even registered, and yet these people are still considered the good guys with a gun. You know what I saw when I heard about the Buffalo shooting? The one that took place only 15 minutes away from where I used to live? You know what I was thinking? Growing up in that area, you know a good majority of people are carrying, whether it be legal or not. And yet that shooter walked in there and shot those people, hunted those people, and not one person with a gun shot him. I grew up and heard all my life these gun owners saying, well, if I'm ever put in that situation, I'm going to shoot that son of a bitch. And yet here we are, presented with opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after fucking opportunity. And yet maybe I think maybe one or two were taken out by people, by civilians with guns. So, I mean, it's pretty clear that a good guy with a gun is not going to be the solution to the problem. Yes, I'm familiar with the fact that there are hundreds of thousands of veterans right now that are willing to defend our schools. How sad is it that that is a suggestion for a solution? Not only is it sad that there are like hundreds of thousands of unemployed veterans, not only is that fucked up, but the fact that people are considering hiring these people to stand as armed guards in and around schools. That's no longer a school being a safe zone. That's turning a school into a goddamn compound. I'm seeing ads for backpacks that are bulletproof, hoodies that are bulletproof. Does nobody else see the fucking problem with this? Nobody else see the how twisted the world has become? We are so desensitized to gun violence that we're just coming up with the solutions of, I'll just get one of these bulletproof hoodies. Hey, look, this hoodie is rated for up to 44 caliber handgun bullets. This armor can protect from a 308 round. Nobody else see the fucking problem here? Nobody? To you lawmakers that are saying that it has everything to do with everything else other than the guns, we all know that you get money from the NRA, and we know that the NRA makes money by selling guns. The more guns that get sold, the more money goes into your pockets. People like Ted Cruz, who I think made the most money. I think it was like $7 million or something like that. It had a 7 in it. It was either 700,000 or $7 million. It was one of the two. And he's saying that there's too many doors in a school. Now, I'm a horror writer, and you always have to leave yourself a way to get the person out that you want to survive. You realize that if you limit the amount of doors to a building, and there's no other exit other than one way in, one way out, if for some reason that exit is blocked, say during a fire or during a, active shooter, those kids and those adults are then trapped inside. And that just makes it a turkey shoot at that point. It is literally making it easier that way to kill more people. These people are so disconnected from reality that they don't understand. I'm not saying it's just the right side of the aisle. I'm saying there's other people on the left too. I am neither right or left. I don't give a shit. But the simple fact is that these organizations are paying these people to say this stuff. And there are people out there that are just believing them blindly. I've already ranted long enough on this. I think I've made my point. But, the simple fact is that nobody seems to understand what is really going on here. And it's disgusting. It really is. It's disgusting at the fact that people are willing to allow more and more kids to die, more and more mass shootings to happen, more and more people to go and put people in the grave, all because of a fucking gun. Let me post this question. How many gun owners have actually had to use their gun in self-defense? How many? The numbers that I was seeing was actually significantly less than what people believe it would be. A lot of people think that just because you have a gun, it's the great equalizer. It's not. There's a significant difference between somebody that's willing to shoot somebody and somebody that just has a gun in their hand. A majority of people are not willing to pull the trigger. And if they are willing to pull the trigger, the people that are actually willing to kill is significantly less. I think it was, 65 to 70% of soldiers aim to fire around a target instead of at a target, because they don't want to deal with the responsibility of killing somebody. And those of you that say, "Oh, well, this is to protect us from the government, from the military, attacking us," think about that. The military is made up of, the American people with families who would be affected if they were ever told to, go against their own family. Do you really think people would be that? Do you really think soldiers would take that in stride? Knowing that their own military is going to potentially kill their own family. Think about that. The amount of soldiers that would go AWOL would basically dismantle the entire military. That's not including the amount of stuff that would be stolen in order to fight the military with their own equipment. So pretty much all of the right-wing and gun rights apologists, all of their arguments are moot. They mean nothing. At this point, it's just the simple fact that they're getting paid money and they're going to tell us everything that they want us to hear in order to get that money and to keep that gravy train rolling. They do not care about us. They do not care how many of us die. They don't care how many children had to die. They don't care about any of that, as long as their wallet is being lined. So, yeah. That's my unpopular opinion. And you know what? I don't give a shit what you think. If you don't believe me, look it up. I did. And it took about a half hour. I stopped looking because I was getting disgusted at the fact that so many people have died over a gun. Maybe it is time for guns to go. Not all of them. I'm fine with rifles, shotguns, and pistols. Things with limited ammo capacity. I'm okay with a much more stringent background check. I mean, hell, it takes more of a background check for me to get a job than it does for somebody to get a gun. And I gotta do less shit at a job than some of these gun owners. For one of my jobs, had to go get fingerprinted, have a background check done in 2 states. And after that, I still had to wait. And I was still worried, even though I know that my background is completely clean. If I went to any of those less restriction states for a gun, I could just go in and buy one. That's fucked up. I was on a medical marijuana card for 2 years, and I wasn't allowed to own a gun because of that. Well, I know people that are snorting coke, are shooting up, and they have guns. Smoking weed with no regard, and then going out and shooting towards shit that they shouldn't be shooting towards. And yet that's perfectly fine. There's no real regulation here. If you're going to own a gun, you should have to follow very stringent rules. Just my opinion.